Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the New York live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Man, we have got ourselves some interesting bouts of data that has just come out. The unemployment claims are showing yet again lower than expected. This is the bane for the Federal Reserve. They don't like it that people are still in jobs and not claiming the benefit, and that's putting pressure on the Fed to decide as to whether or not they're going to increase the interest rates or pause. Now, we do have the Federal Reserve meeting coming up soon, so we're going to be preparing ourselves for that. No doubt we'll be going live for that. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit the like button so we can work that YouTube algorithm, and subscribe if you want to tune into more New York live streams. I hope everyone is doing well this morning. The New York futures markets will be opening in 25 minutes, so what we're going to be doing is breaking it all down for you. We're going to dive into Bitcoin. We're going to look at some on-chain analytics, understanding inflows and outflows, just to make sense of whether or not people that are depositing money into exchanges, are they seeking liquidity to get rid of Bitcoin positions? That's another story. So with that being said, if I'm going to be speaking a little bit too fast, try and slow it down, because I ain't going to stop, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be bringing you the fire today because we've got the news from the Federal Reserve. The news regarding the manufacturing index, again contracting, showing a slowdown in the economy, but more importantly, the jobless claims came in lower, so we've got that hot labor market. So let's get with the Bitcoin analysis and roll with the flavor. Cool. All right then, so what have we got in front of us, guys? I am not screaming. Please, it's not screaming. I'm just Greek. I speak loud. I speak with passion. You know, back in the day, Greeks were fantastic orators, great storytellers. I'm about to tell you the story of Bitcoin. So let's roll with the flavor. Bitcoin right now is holding that critical 50 EMA on the 1 hour time frame. For my day traders, this is a critical point. Why? Because we're trying to work out if Bitcoin can go up, retrace, continuation to the upside. Okay? That's what we're looking for. Now, we have to be mindful. The market has yet to react to the unemployment data. Look what happened. Wow, 192,000 people claimed benefit, lower than what they had projected. The Fed's going to be going crazy. They ain't happy about this, man. That's just only putting more pressure on the Fed, because they're like, right, okay, are we going to pause the interest rates because of what's going on with the banking sector? Credit Suisse has taken a nosedive, but more importantly, bailout propositions could be coming in from the central Swiss bank. But let's be honest, you bail out the bank, does that remove the problem? What's going to happen to the next bank? Who's going to step in for that? Because the government itself, they've stepped in and saved the banks. And is it all happy days? Not necessarily. So we've got to be very cautious when we're understanding that we're in very volatile times. The Fed has got a stubborn market, a labor market. And if they can't get that controlled, it's only going to be projecting inflation even higher. We had the heads up with the core price index going up, so naturally we're going to assume that the next inflation reading is going to come in higher, and the Fed can't cut any corners. With that being said, going back into the good old BTC, we can see that we have got the test of the 50 EMA trading away from its daily open, and we go into higher time frames, and we can see that Bitcoin is still not making that move away from this 25 zone. 25 seems to be a very important resistance point for Bitcoin, like we addressed last night. If we zoom out and we look at this key area here, some of you guys might actually look at it and say, okay, this looks like an area of supply. Well, it's just the last point that Mr. Market Maker was able to grab retail traders' interest to buy, and he instantly reverses it. There is never a supply or a demand in the marketplace. Hear me out. The supply continues to come from the market maker. If you have someone buying, that means there will be someone selling. And you will always have a supply in the marketplace. Because if you don't have a supply, you cease to have a market. Why? Because if there's no one to buy, that means there's no one to sell. And you can't sell if you can't buy. It makes sense. Go to a car lot garage to go and buy a car. You walk in, the guy stood there like a wet fish, waiting for you to say, can I buy a car? But he's more encouraged to say to you, I got nothing to sell. No marketplace. That's true economics. But when it comes to the chart itself, that's the same principle. And we're seeing it happening all the time. Now, it is a contrarian approach. Don't get it twisted. And we look at these zones and say, hold on a second, Bitcoin, why have you not gone above this key area, 24,762? And we're going to be getting into the Bookmap very shortly because I got a stack of Bitcoin at 24,600 that wants to get taken. 415 Bitcoin just came in. Oh, they just cancelled it. No, it's come back in again. And they're going to get ready to take that. So just keep an eye on this. Right. So look. On the concept of supply and demand itself, we know Bitcoin has found resistance at this area. And when we say resistance, it just means that market maker has held the chart because people can't buy if no one is going to sell to them. That's the way we've got to look at it. Now we look further down, we can see a couple of green vector candles right here. The logic would assume that Bitcoin, by the principle of the hybrid system, is going to come back down. That's the principle. But like we said, is Bitcoin going to do its own thing? If the turmoil of banks is going to be putting people in fear, then naturally we're going to assume that people are going to go to Bitcoin. Thank you, Satoshi, for creating this bad boy. Now let's put it to the test. We don't want Bitcoin going down with the S&P. We want Bitcoin to hold when the S&P goes down and then continue back up. Again, Bitcoin is a fashionable coin. It's a fashionable thing in crypto. Only the people that will endorse crypto will keep crypto up. But let's be honest. When you've got billions of dollars leaving the stock market, you're going to assume that Bitcoin's going to have the same effect. So, with that being said, going into the higher time frames, let's have a look at the daily right there. You got this big bad boy wick right here, and the promise of the 800 EMA would be the last point of where Mr. Market Maker can come back and eat the liquidity of this violet vector candle. Now, if you haven't done so already, get over to the Traders Reality website called tradersreality.com, and you can download this indicator free of charge. There's 4 steps. Follow those 4 steps, and you'll have everything that I'm looking at in front of you. Now, here is the zone, the ultimate zone for resistance for Bitcoin, 27,616. Let's go over to the Hyblock and have a look at what's going on there. So here is the idea of buying and selling. If we zoom into this chart right here, you can see that the little green dots, if you can see it clearly, here you go, green dots, $68.53 million worth of longs were opened at 25,000. Congratulations on those guys who went long at the highest point, because everyone is programmed to believe that when it's rising, you buy it. Okay, thank you so much for that. So those same guys that went long at 25K, down here is their liquidation points at 100x. They've been wiped out. Congratulations. Again, we've got $61 million worth of longs opened at 24,923. They could have paid themselves on the spike of price going all the way up to 24,978, and they didn't. Their liquidations have just been taken. It's a sad story, isn't it? Notice when prices are going up, that's where people get engaged to buy. You have to do the opposite. Why? Because you're thinking like a market maker. When it's rising, you're selling. The principle suggests that when you are in longs, ladies and gentlemen, as it's rising up, you want to be selling it. So if you go long here, all right, you've gone long on this vector candle. It goes up, it goes up, it goes up. Take 25%, bang, leave the 75%, another 25%, and another 25%, bang. You've sold off your position and it times itself so that you are then now looking to go short. Why? Because everyone's missed the trend to the upside and they're going to get in at this point right here. Happy days. You sell into it. See you to the downside. That's what the logic suggests. Okay? So, let's get our charts prepared. Let's have a look at what else has been going on across the board just to align ourselves. We're going to have a look at the Bookmap in a very short second. Let's just understand the scope of things. Where are we in terms of context of the marketplace? Well, the first thing we need to do is go over to the bonds. All right. Now, the yields have taken a nosedive because investors are seeking safety. That would only mean that traders are risk off. Okay, this is a sentiment chart. Shows us that investors are risk off. They ain't putting the money down now. They are looking for safety. So that means we're going to be looking for assets like gold. So let's go over to gold for a second. Happy days. Gold is going up. It's a safe haven. I bet you the Japanese yen is still going up. Happy days. Yen is going up. And when the yen goes up, that's a problem. We don't want the yen to go up. Neither does the Japanese yen. It can't allow the yen to go up because it's against their wholesale in manufacturing in terms of costs. It costs them too much if the value of the yen is too high. But then at the same token, we've got the dominance of the dollar right here, still holding within this range right here. And if the dollar dominance does actually continue higher, we've got a bigger problem. because that would then suggest that investors are turning to the bonds, the safety of the bonds themselves. Look at this. You've got the 10-year bonds right here starting to move up because investors are scared to death with this banking scenario. Who's going to be next? It's a domino effect. So with that being said, let's just quickly go over to the NASDAQ and the S&P. NASDAQ starting to roll over. That's not a good sign. We've got some vector candles down here on the 1-hour time frame. We go to the 15-minute time frame. We can see a couple of gaps right there. There's a vector zone right here. There you go. Happy days. Didn't even need the hybrid system to know that. And we are assuming that it's going to break down to test the 200 because the volatility is going to start coming in. They're selling from the highest point. That's what happens with the NASDAQ. All right. Now, with that being said, we go over to the S&P itself. Same story, finding resistance inside of this area right here. The 39.30 zone seems to be a point of interest where they like to sell from. Look at the drops. Back down, up, all below the key 800 EMA on the 15-minute time frame. We go to the 1-hour time frame and we see that price is trading below the key moving averages, suggesting that price is being marked down lower. You've got these key zones. 38.54 could be a point for the S&P, but it's all about how the market reacts to today's news that's just come out. All right, going into the volatility index. Now, listen, the volatility index is a little bit of a tricky thing. When this bad boy is going up, it means that assets are going down. Likewise, when this thing is going down, assets are going up. Okay, and you're going to try and work out where is it likely to turn? This is suggesting that volatility is coming in. So that means assets are going down. Now we go over to the Bookmap itself. I think Bitcoin is starting to make some flavor, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Not that much of flavor, but it's on its way. So let's go to the smaller time frames and understand the basis of this move. Let's just zoom in. Here we go, 800 EMA. We got a vector candle point right here that we need to be mindful of. We're just going to keep an eye out on that zone. That will be the 24,530. Let's go over to the Bookmap and have a look at what's going on there. Bitcoin eating that 24,600 zone. Happy days. There's a liquidity right there. Zoom out. And where's the commitment of retail or traders inside of these areas? So we keep on moving out. 547 Bitcoin at the 24,820 zone. That's a big commitment right there, and it doesn't even look like it wants to go anywhere. But we've got the VWAP test. We've got our VWAP test right now, and you saw what happened yesterday. We came down to test the VWAP and failed, and then they continued straight back down again. Happy days. Now, we are at a very important point now. Again, it's always at an important point because Bitcoin is now trying to test the idea of this VWAP, which the VWAP sits at the 24,600 zone. Now, the logic would suggest that if it does break this, it's going to move down lower. Why? Because look how much time they've spent above the VWAP. That would then suggest that institutional investors are selling from this area. So naturally, a breakdown lower would trigger the same interest to come back in to send it up again. Now, for day traders, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for the volatility around the VWAP, okay, which is this white line here, which is the average of volume over a period of time. And in relation to this, it's over the last 24 hours. So if Bitcoin, I mean, look, I don't really see commitment coming in just yet. It's quite sparse. And there's that bad boy here. Oops, okay, maybe not. So we got 545 Bitcoin, 24,800 going down into those zones. We've got 235 Bitcoin at 24,480. Got some more liquidity down at 24,120, which is showing about 203 Bitcoin orders in that zone. And it looks like they're trying to get collected in here. The book is imbalanced to 25% limit buy. So that's going to naturally lead price down lower. And we're going to wait to see if we've got commitment. So look, if you can see ever so slightly, can you see this area here? That area right there was an area where traders had previously stepped in, but they cancelled the orders. So principally, this could be a point of support inside the order book. What we want to see is we want to see this red bubble break down into the VWAP and try and manipulate the chart to make people believe now's the time to go short. But there you go. It's about how long it's going to take. We are now coming to a key 800 EMA on the 1-minute time frame. The 5-minute time frame is suggesting that Bitcoin could start picking up momentum and absorbing the idea that the sales of the unemployment claims right here is going to put pressure on the Fed to really stick with the idea of increasing interest rates. Red vector candle is getting a little bit sharp right now, so just keep an eye on that. We have yet to have a test of the daily open, and usually the daily open is going to be the place where you'll get the most commitment in the chart. So we zoom out and have a look at the range itself. So let's just pull up the book, the fixed volume profile, and let's take it from the last extreme going into the current price point to understand where we are likely to see commitment. We've got the value area high. Now remember, value area highs and value area lows are usually seen as points of support and resistance. That's what the logic would suggest. And we've got a lot of interest inside of this area, but it's pulling away from that zone. We've got another green vector candle region coming down to here. So hypothetically, if they do break this value area high line right here, which is this yellow line, we would then assume that Bitcoin is going to continue down lower. But more importantly, if we go over to the euro itself, we can see euro is getting some tricky plays. Is it all coming out yet? Hold on. We've got it. The main refinancing rate, they moved it to 350. Okay. 50 basis points right there on the monetary, on the policy statement. We're waiting to see what they're going to say about that. And the press conference comes in the next 30 minutes or so. So that's going to be a key thing for the euro. You can see how treacherous it's behaving. And then the dominance of the dollar should be coming into play right now. Here we go. Yeah, nice little spike up there, potentially holding inside of this zone. But it's all going to be about what they project out in the ECB conference. All right, so let me just go even further into, let's just go back into Bitcoin to see if it's going to start picking up momentum. It's starting to pick it up. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. They can eat that liquidity. Here we go. So tune up your ears, guys. We're going to get here with the fast talking. Let's just pay attention to the liquidity coming into the chart. So we've got 334 Bitcoin. 24,520 is going to get eaten. They're going to eat that liquidity. Are they going to take this liquidity? There's big commitment coming in. Book is imbalanced to 31% limit buys. So they're picking it up. We've got some orders stacked at 540 Bitcoin at 24,640. They're going for, we've got 310 Bitcoin at 24,120. Are they going to come back down and recover the vectors? They've broken the value area high line right there. Principally, the next area is the point of control. Okay, remember, as a day trader, I'm looking for these fast, quick moves. And there you go, back in towards that vector candle recovery on the 5-minute time frame. Doing good. It's picking up momentum. It's picking it up. Here we go. 220 Bitcoin at 24,320. We got 24,360. We got a little bit of Bitcoin trying to come in, but it keeps on getting removed. That could be a little bit of a point of a not resistance, but support. We've got commitment coming in right now. I'm waiting for the delta bubbles to be a little bit more bigger to suggest that they're trying to force price down to get the retail trader to believe that now price is going lower to time to bring it back up. Remember, the red vector candle is right there as an imbalance. So we would then naturally assume that Mr. Market Maker is going to try and come back up. And remember, the key thing is to always wait for the retrace. The retrace is the proof in the pudding. It's the basis of this strategy. And it's the basis of all strategies. Why? Because you want the proof of the move. Now, with that being said, we have broken the VWAP. This is important. Let's just bring this out to a little bit more of a bigger time frame. So with the next pool of liquidity that we must be mindful of is all the way down here at the 24,160. But I'm not seeing the commitment, but just below that, there's 311 Bitcoin orders. Where's my guy, EXO Charts? Here we go. So look at Bitcoin on the EXO Charts platform for the futures markets. It is yet to be fully open. We've got ourselves another 10 more minutes until that actually comes into play. And this is the tick chart for Bitcoin. So I just need to have a look at what is going on inside of here. Not really seeing that much movement just yet, but there could be a little bit of a gap down in Bitcoin. And if you just zoom out and just pull on the actual VWAP, where's the VWAP? So it's a little bit obscured right now. We're trading below the VWAP. We would assume that they're going to now actually gap down in the futures markets because of how aggressive this sell-off has happened. But we need to wait and see if that's going to be the case. Go back into the order book of Bitcoin just to have a look at where we are with the depth of market. Now, the depth of market is just where people are placing orders above or below. And what you're looking for is you're looking for big orders to come in on the bids for people to sell, which is really people buying. And then, of course, on the ask is where you're looking for people to buy, which is really passive selling. So we just need to pay attention. You can see there's not that much happening. We're coming close to the VWAP right there, but the biggest value is all the way up here at 47 at 24,980. And if they can't sustain themselves above the VWAP for the day itself, then we're going to be looking for value down at the value area low, which you can see at the open, there is a lot of commitment there. So we then take that in principle, we look into the chart, you can see Bitcoin's holding at that VWAP, come back into that zone, you look left and you see, okay, now they're trying to hold inside of this area. So this is a key area for Bitcoin. They've recovered the vector candle, smack back down to a T. Happy days. Now we're going to see if the proof of this move is going to sustain Bitcoin to the upside. So we're going to hope that Bitcoin can hold, because if they can't retrace back up into this zone, then we've got ourselves a bit of a problem. We'd be then zooming out and looking on the 30-minute time frame, and we would assume that the past 30 minutes they've been working price to come back down. Test of the 50 EMA is coming into play. The biggest bouts of volume are coming in at this point here at 24,290. We bring that bad boy up and we can see it's still going down below the VWAP. That's a problem for me. 421 Bitcoin coming in at 24,480. Coming down, we got 300 Bitcoin at 24,400. We just go over to the Hyblock itself and have a look at the liquidations. There we go. There's that sad story. The sad story. Here we go. 24,706. We've got $61 million worth of longs that were open there. They have now been liquidated. The next zone would be at $145 million worth of long liquidations sat at the 24,444. That takes us to what point? 24,000 24,444 will take us roughly towards this area right here, happy days, which happens to be at the lower band of this volume profile, which is suggesting to me that the next high volume node is the point of control. The logic would assume that we would expect price to come back down towards that zone. The markets are yet to open, so let's go and have a look at some more assets. Here we go. Ethereum. What did we say about Ethereum yesterday? Ethereum was leading the party to going down. So now we're expecting it to come down lower, coming into a very critical point for Ethereum. If they release beyond this point right here, ladies and gentlemen, then it's going to be likely they're going to continue down lower to test the 800 EMA. We're going to assume that that's going to be the case. Why? Because if they can't get above this area here on Ethereum, right here, if they can't get above that point and test it to continue to the upside, in other words, rise up, retrace, continue, then we're not looking for anything else other than lower price action. That would be the principle and the logic. Now, Ethereum has broken its daily open and it's showing some strength to go down lower. We go over to Bitcoin and we haven't seen Bitcoin do that just yet. Remember, Bitcoin is a little bit slower. Why? Because there's more liquidity to move. Let's go over to some other assets. Let's have a look at good old XRP making a move to the downside. Nice little drop there. M formation, drop to the downside. Funnily enough, from yesterday's live stream, what did we say? W formation, rise up, happy days, resistance at the 50 EMA. Down it goes, testing its daily open. We're looking for this area here at 35 cents if the momentum continues to pick up. Let's go into Euro. Euro is making the move to the downside, ladies and gentlemen. They ain't too happy about the flavor that the ECB have given. That is only suggesting one thing. That is suggesting that the dominance of the dollar is coming into play. The next zone will be this midpoint right here where they close the gap, and we are going to go into the higher time frames to understand that dollar dominance is looking to try and recover some of the vector candles all the way at the top side right here. We got 105 right there that we could anticipate price to come back towards. Moving on, NASDAQ taking a dump, and S&P on its way down. Let's go and have a look at Tesla to see how it closed off yesterday. So Tesla could be in for a little bit of a gap down. So just be mindful, we do have a little bit of a gap right here that they did kind of close, but they didn't fully close it. Let me just get rid of that box right there, and we just mark off the key zones in the chart that we would expect Tesla to come and fill the gap on. Oh, they fully filled it, to be fair. So we're going to expect them to probably gap beyond 175 itself. USDT, who's buying, who's selling? This is a psychological chart. Tells me where people's minds are at. It tells me if people are buying or selling crypto. Right now, it's showing that they are buying, they are selling crypto because the USDT chart is moving up. It's taking a little bit of a time, but we're waiting for that volatility to come into play with Bitcoin. What time are we on? It's now 5 more minutes, and Bitcoin is now starting to make its way. It needs to come and test that daily open, go to the 1 minute time frame as I look at the cycles themselves. Okay, then, so now they've broken the 800 EMA, fully recovering that vector candle. The next logical point would be Bitcoin at the daily open. That is what we would be expecting, ladies and gentlemen. Now, USDCAD, not really making that move just yet. That would suggest to me that oil has started to make a little bit of a recovery. Let's go to oil. Oil is actually dropping down. That is because of the fear of what's going on with the banks themselves. And we have got a couple of vector candle zones all the way down here we need to be mindful of. Go to the 1 hour time frame. Actually, oil is taking a nosedive. The next logical point for oil would be at this wick right here, at the 62 cent zone, and that is what $62 zone. So that would be the last point of support that we would expect price to end up towards. Let's just go back into BTC, still at 1.39% for the day, and it's doing very well. Now listen, let me tell you something. When the dominance of the dollar keeps on shooting up, okay, and then you've got the idea of Bitcoin not doing anything, there's that test of that VWAP. This is the proof of the move. This is the proof of the move, and the markets ain't even open yet. So when Bitcoin comes, when the dominance of the dollar actually moves up against you, against assets, so against the euro, against the pound, against the with gold, all right, you expect Bitcoin to do the same because Bitcoin is purchased in dollars, but Bitcoin doesn't do that all the time. Usually, it likes to hold. I guess most of the flavor comes when we go into the Asian session. So if Bitcoin can hold this range today, expect the Asian session to pull some fire, okay? Now, looking at Bitcoin, we can see we've got some commitment coming in right now. Oh my, here we go. Got some flavor at the VWAP. 380 Bitcoin at 24,520. We narrowly missed that 24,480 zone, which would lead us to the 24,440 area, where there is currently $145 million worth of long liquidations. Ladies and gentlemen, please pay yourselves if you are in longs. Take some money from the market, man. Take something. It's not about how long you can hold a trade for and being drawdown. Yo, bro, I'm in like a minus 62% drawdown. Yeah, bro, you're holding out diamond hands. You're a mug. Why are you giving your money to the market maker? Don't do it. Get in, fast out. See you later. Bit like my relationships. Anyways, back down here, we got 356 Bitcoin at 24,520, and the orders are now starting to separate. We've got a commitment down here at 440 with 24,200 Bitcoin. 24,200 with 440 Bitcoin in that area. Bitcoin has now broken the VWAP, triggered some interest by institutional traders. We've got the big delta bubble right there suggesting to us that things might actually start to get a bit busy. How many of you in the room right now? 1,400 people in the room. Make sure you hit the like button. I want to get to 1,000 likes, guys, so we can work that YouTube algorithm. And if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you get notified about these bad boy live streams. I hope you are all doing well today, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Now, let's see something. If the futures markets open in the next minute and 10 seconds, what we're looking for is we're looking for this area here where you see 24,520. You're looking for Bitcoin orders to come in, which is going to suggest that people are favoring lower prices. Likewise, if you see the commitment coming into the upside, you're going to want to see the orders coming in up here, and there's not that much interest down here. Now, if we look at the session profile for the order book, we are currently in what you would call value. It's fair value, fair price. That's where people are sat, chilling. I'm happy to buy Bitcoin at this price point. Now, when it moves away from this area, it's because it's trying to seek value again, higher or lower. They will always move to the value area high or value area low because that is where the resistance and support zones are, because that's why you can see, look here, it's very small profile. So they're not really grabbing that much interest, but they bring it back down into this area here between the 24,560 and of course the 24,240, because that's where there is an agreement, a fair exchange of buyers and sellers in that zone. Now, if we just zoom in ever so slightly, here we go. You're going to see something now. This is when we look closely into the order book and when the orders are getting filled, all right? Down here, 24,500, we got 339 Bitcoin orders. Are they actually building short? So in other words, are they preparing to mark price down? Here we go. Markets are now starting to get busy. Here we go. Let's see if they can do it. Bitcoin coming back out again. Let's look at price coming back into the red vector candle recovery point. We expect that. This is the proof of the move. This is the proof. Here we go. 29 seconds in and the markets are now fully open. Let's just quickly go and have a look at how it's fared. NASDAQ, gap down. No, sorry, not NASDAQ. Let's go to Tesla. Tesla, gap up. Tesla's moved up. What is going on? Hold on a second. Microsoft is trading lower. AMC's trading lower, getting quite aggressive to move down. What we got, NASDAQ is spiking back down again, coming into some vector candle zones right here. We got the green vector candle region right there. We got another green vector candle zone right there for the NASDAQ. Let me just bring up the order flow for NASDAQ itself. Here we go. What have we got here? The tick chart for NASDAQ, where you're trading towards the lower bands of the VWAP and the standard deviation. There's the previous day's open, so that would be a very critical point for resistance or support, sorry. We've got the VWAP currently sat at 12,264. If the momentum picks up with NASDAQ, then we would expect it to come and test that VWAP right there. Go back into the order flow of Bitcoin on the futures markets. Where you at? Here we go. Currently trading at the VWAP for Bitcoin. So we've got 24,735. Not really seeing the commitment coming in, but the value area low down here has got the surprise commitment from traders. We're going to want to assume that if guys are interested at lifting price from this point, then Bitcoin should be moving higher from this zone. But if they can't achieve that, then Bitcoin's going to move. Our NASDAQ's making a move. Here we go. Is Bitcoin going to start the party? Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Bitcoin fully... Get out of there, man. If Bitcoin can get back, here we go, come above the VWAP itself. Are they going to go for that 437 Bitcoin at 24,540? It looks like they might want to take it. 423 Bitcoin at 24,210. And then, of course, at 24,300, we got 232 Bitcoin orders. Now, listen, rather than keep you guys here, we've just had the bad news, okay? That the unemployment claims have come in higher, okay? So just remember, the bigger picture is suggesting that the Fed may look to increase the interest rates, maybe not pause, because the Eurozone didn't do it. And if you go over to the Euro itself, you can see it's come back up sharply, but it's taken a nosedive. It's suggesting to us that the bigger picture is the power of the dominance of the dollar. Now, Bitcoin might not even do so much today, ladies and gentlemen, but if the markets do actually aggressively move, we would expect Bitcoin to try and rip in towards this area here at 24,395. If it can't do that and hold out in this zone, it may may even come back up into these vector candle points right here. All you're looking for is the smaller time frames to understand the volatility of what's going on the moving averages. If they can get above this area right here where it's trying to show support, then happy days. But if it can't get above this region right here, there's nothing else to do but just look for Bitcoin towards the daily open. That is my opinion. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but on the principle of vector candles, you would assume that Bitcoin would try and come and test the daily open. The more time it spends trading away from the daily open, the more of an understanding that you have that Bitcoin could actually continue higher. Remember, we're waiting to see if Bitcoin is going to be the hedge against inflation. And if we just go one more second, going over to the Bookmap itself, they're holding the VWAP. So in principle, you ain't going to be doing anything because you're looking for price to break the VWAP, to come back into it and test against it to go lower. And if it can hold the VWAP here, you want it to move up to test back into it to see it going up to the upside. All right? Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, mad love and respect for passing through to today. I hope you've enjoyed it. The markets are now open, so go and trade to your heart's content, but make sure you keep your risk to a minimum. Don't expose too much. Remember, Mr. Market Maker can give, but he can also take away. Make sure you hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll be checking in with you all tomorrow. Mad love. Peace.